Hi everyone! So I'm gonna continue with last week's format, wherein I'll start off first with the outcome of last week's trading ideas, or rather forecast, and then it's gonna be followed by this week's trading ideas. So it went pretty good. It wasn't that profitable compared to the other week, but still good considering how sideways and volatile and uncertain last week's market was, especially GBP pairs. So we're gonna start off first with what went right and mostly they're Aussie pairs. So here AUDCHF, this was the idea, and then this was how it went. I almost got stopped out. I think by next week I'm gonna instead of just putting my target profit and target entry point, I'm gonna also add my stop loss level, so it won't be confusing anymore. And so yeah, but my stop loss almost got hit here, near 0.7800. Thankfully it didn't, and I was able to ride the uptrend until it didn't hit my target at 0.718. However, I just manually closed it at 0.71440. AUDJPY, well, I was initially stepped out in this pair, but I manually entered again, and thankfully it continued going up. However, I manually closed it at 78.694 and didn't wait. I thought it's already Friday night in my place, and I don't think it's gonna move up to my target at 80, so let's just save that for next week. Okay, for CADJPY, this was amazing, especially how uncertain I felt about oil. I'm pretty bullish with oil. However, it continued going sideways for some time. Actually, it was pretty volatile. We're gonna talk about oil in a bit. So yeah, it reached my target profit, which is amazing. And unlike the previous Aussie pairs, this was actually I was expecting to get whipsawed in this pair, considering how usually wiki the candlesticks in this chart are, but thankfully it didn't, so yay. Okay, Euro AUD, oh Jesus, thankfully it didn't reach my stop loss near 1.59500, and I was able to manually close this pair at 1.58422. Unfortunately, it didn't hit my target profit near 1.57500, but green pips is still green pips. Okay, for Euro NZD, this is another amazing pair to trade. Last week I traded this twice. First I shorted until it hit my target profit near 1.67, and then I entered a buy stop order at around near 1.68, slightly above 1.68, so like around 1.68200. And I set up my target profit pretty conservatively near 1.69, actually below 1.69, because I thought it's not gonna go down there. It's not gonna reach that. I was expecting it to bounce immediately down, but I'm glad that it hit my target profit there, so yay. Okay, for GBPAUD, another awesome trade to pair, although it was pretty risky considering the parliament vote against Brexit, but I was pretty bearish, as mentioned in my trading blog as well. As I mentioned in my trading blog as well, I'm overall, regardless of what's gonna happen, I'm still pretty bearish with GBP GBP in general, at least immediately right after the parliament voting thingy. And though it's possible, I considered the possibility of GBP pairs bouncing immediately after the initial market movement. So yeah, thankfully it hit my target profit. Okay, for GBPCAD, same thing with GBP AUD. These were the only GBP pairs that I traded. I think GBP USD and, if I'm not mistaken, also GBPJPY showed the same pattern, but I wasn't very confident with those pairs. I only traded these GBP pairs, and thankfully it also hit my target profit at 1.68500 and also profited another 100 pips. Gold, I actually wasn't able to manually enter right away near 1296. I wasn't very confident with the sideways motion, with the sideways narrowing range. Candlesticks feel like it's gonna go experience a breakout pretty soon. I've got to check later on if this continued to drop, if gold continued to drop by Friday close, because I manually closed this pair earlier. I entered slightly below 1288. I think it's around 1287, if I'm not mistaken, 1286 or 1287, and closed it immediately at 1282.525. NZDCAD, this was the idea last week, and this is how it went. I actually don't have any fixed opinion regarding this pair. I just waited if it's gonna bounce up or if it's gonna go break the 0.9400 Fibonacci level, and it did bounce up, but I wasn't able to buy at that time, and it already reached my 61,800 Fibonacci level. So I just waited for it to bounce back down to 9,400, and then I don't know, maybe I was too busy monitoring the GBP pairs at the time, so I entered pretty late. I was already in the third wave, if I'm not mistaken, shorting this pair, and I wish I moved my target profit near 89,500 instead, but that's alright. At least it's still profit, but could have earned more pips here, but yeah. Okay, for oil, this was really tricky. I got whipsawed initially in this pair, and then I just manually entered again at around almost 52, I think around 51.9, and manually closed at 52.498 because I thought that I think it's not gonna move up anymore by Friday close near my target at 54. I think it's gonna, with this pattern, this like ABC pattern after this sideways pattern, similar to the ABC pattern after the main Elliott wave move, although I don't really use Elliott wave when it comes to foreign FX trading FX currencies, but yeah, so I feel like it's gonna bounce down, and it might, oil might continue to go ranging between 50 to 53 at least until early next week. So yeah, okay, for the pairs that didn't go well, there's just two of them actually. AUDNZ, it hit my target entry at 1.05 my target, my short stop order, and it hit my stop loss. So yeah, I was expecting this to go down because I'm still pretty bullish when it comes to NZ, and slightly bearish when it comes to AD, because because of the, aside from the rising housing prices there in Australia, AUD is pretty much sensitive to any China economic news. Although China's economy has been pretty doing good lately, but I don't know. It's still kind of risky. So I had a bearish bias on this pair, but it didn't go well. So, but let's see. By next week, probably it's gonna bounce from 1.06 and it's a good opportunity to short this pair near 1.06 200 or 1.06 100. We'll see. And then the second pair that didn't go well last week was NZDJPY. This could have been a profit actually if I only was able to manually close near 74,400. It didn't touch my target profit at 74.5. It immediately bounced down to 73.200. So yeah, but this could have been a profit. So yeah, that's it guys. Let's move on to trading ideas for next week.